I wanted to spend a little bit of time today talking to you about this fantastic machine we've got here. Now this is a Ducati 955 Corse. This particular bike was ridden by Steve Hislop in the British Superbike Championship, and he won the championship outright in 1995. So it's a very special machine. First of all, Hislop's a bit of a legend, and second of all, because this is a factory-built racing machine. Now lots of people don't realise the differences between the normal road-going Ducatis and the RS Corse bikes, and so I wanted to try and talk a little bit about that today. Obviously the Superbike's a silhouette formula, so it has to look like the road machine and share various components like the frame and crankcases and bits like that. But on these machines, that is literally all that it shares. Almost every component on them is different. It looks like the road-going machine, but it's different. And things like the swinging arm, which is 20mm longer, looks like a normal 916 swinging arm, but it's actually an extended version of it. And that's to help with sort of traction out of the corners and grip, and to stop the bike from wheeling and things like that. Equally in turn, that means that the rocker linkage and shock absorber are different, and so the whole rear end setup's different, the caliper's different, the disc and all these little bits and bobs, which at a glance you would miss, but they're all different components and they're all sort of factory pieces. Further inside the bike, obviously at the front end there, the forks are what they call wide track, so they sit wider in the yokes, and so the front discs are further apart, if you like, and the whole front end of the bike sits a little bit wider. Airbox is different. These sides come off to allow you quick access to get to the belts and to change different bits and bobs and things like that. Tank is carbon fibre. Obviously this had slightly bigger throttle bodies, different exhaust system, and inside the engine, of course, there were lots and lots of differences. So the gearbox was different, the rods, the pistons, the valves, and all these sorts of things to make it more powerful. And equally, this bike's much lighter than the road-going version as well. You know, these are 165 kilos, which was the sort of limit at the time. And your road-going machine is probably something more like 185. So it's 20 kilos lighter and much more powerful, and a very different machine. You know, equally the rev counter was different. You got a different red line. You got different things like that. The wiring loom was different. The ECU's down the front here as opposed to being under the seat on your road-going machine. Under the seat here, you've got a big breather tank for the crankcase breather to go into to stop any oil spilling out onto the track and to stop any crankcase pressure problems and things like that. Magnesium's used quite heavily. The yokes are magnesium, and lots of parts on the engine are magnesium. And equally, almost all the bodywork and all the little accessories and bits and bobs were in carbon fibre. So lots of very special materials, lots of special pieces, and a really interesting machine. Ducati produced a handful of these sort of RS World Superbike spec machines every year, and what it means is basically as a consumer, you can go to Ducati, you can pay an extraordinary amount of money and come away with a bike which is capable of winning at world level, or in this case, British Superbike level, and you don't have to buy a road bike and tear it to pieces. You can buy a machine off the shelf which is ready to go racing. And Ducati supply the manuals and the parts and all the infrastructure to run the machine as well, and no other manufacturer really does this in the motorcycle industry, and it's really fantastic. And these bikes are numbered machines, so they had a frame number, and you could ring Ducati and run this frame number past them, and they'll say, oh yes, that's a 955 Corse from 1995, and they're sort of recognised machines, and they have, like I say, their own parts and their own information and things like that to run them. So they're really, really very, very special bike, and lovely to have this here in at La Soveloce at the moment. And in fact, we've got a few Corse machines, and it's something that we're really quite passionate about here, and enjoy having and being around, because these are very special bikes and not like anything else that you can really buy today.